Hello, welcome to lesson 6-4. We're going to be taking a look at box and whisker plots in this lesson. So let's go ahead and take a look at our learning target. Our learning target is going to be that I can create and interpret a box and whisker plot. Box and whisker plots are something you guys have seen before, so this shouldn't be anything groundbreaking or revolutionary for you guys, but we will go ahead and review how to create one of these and how to read and interpret them. In the last lesson, we took a look at frequency tables and dot plots and histograms. This is going to be another way that we can use to display data, and that is going to be our box and whisker plot. So another way that we can visually display a data set is by using that box and whisker plot that I keep mentioning. And you also might see it called sometimes just a box plot. Sometimes you see box and whisker plot, sometimes you just see box plot. Either way, they're going to mean the same thing. So to create a box plot, the first thing we're going to have to find is the 5-number summary. And just a reminder of what the 5-number summary is. It is the minimum, also known as Q0, the first quartile, also known as Q1, the second quartile, which we commonly call the median, the third quartile, which is Q3, and our maximum, which that should say Q4. So we use these 5 numbers as the framework for our box and whisker plot. So we can go ahead and jump into this example. We are asked to construct a box and whisker plot for the following data. Just like anything we've been doing in statistics, the first thing that we want to do is to put this data in order from smallest to biggest. So I'm going to start listing these out. I see I have a 3, a 3, a 4, a 5. I have 3 6s. I have 2 7s. And I have a 9. So let me just make sure that I have as many data points as I have down here. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that means I should have 10 data points down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it looks like I'm good to go. So we need to find our 5-number summary. So the ones that I always start out with are the easiest. I look for the minimum, which is Q0. And I look for the maximum, which is Q4. So when we're looking for the minimum, we're looking for the smallest number, which is really easy to find when we have it in order from least to greatest. My smallest number is going to be that 3 that I have right here. And my highest number is going to be my maximum, which I can find right here. And so my maximum, or my Q4, is going to be 9. Alright, now I got to find everything in between. I've got to find the first quartile, I've got to find the median or Q2, and I've got to find Q3. If you need any review on finding these, you can go back and look at lesson 1 from this unit. We're also going to go ahead and find them right now. So remember, the median is going to be where we start with when we find these 3 things, and we're looking for the middle number. So the method I usually use is to start off crossing off from one end to the other until I find the middle. So I've crossed off 4 numbers on each side and I'm left with 2 in the middle. Now we can see that this is both going to be 6 and 6, so either way what we're going to have for our median or Q2 is 6. Now remember, if this would have been 2 different numbers, we would have just added them together, 6 plus 6, and divide by 2. Of course this is going to give us 6. So it's pretty obvious when you have 2 of the same number, but if these were 2 different numbers, that would be the step you would need to take. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to need to do is to find my Q1 and Q3. Remember that Q1 is the median of the lower set of numbers. So since I divided my data up right here, I'm going to look at everything on the left, and I'm going to go through the same process I did to find the median. I'm going to cross out 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. And I'm going to find that my first quartile is going to be 4. And then I'm going to do the same thing for Q3 on the upper half of the data. I'm going to look above that line where we drew the median, and I'm going to cross out 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left. And we can see that we're going to have a quartile of 7 for our third quartile. So now what we have to do is we have to plot this on a number line. I always recommend going a little bit below what your minimum value is and a little bit above what your maximum value is. So we want to go a little below 3, a little above 9. So I'm going to number my number line down here. I'm just going to go ahead and start at 0, and I'm just going to count evenly. Now you can count by different things. Sometimes it's handy to count by ones. Sometimes you might want to count by a larger number. You might want to count by fives or tens or anything like that. Alright, so I've gone a little bit above 0, or a little bit below 3 with my 0, and a little bit above 9 with my 12. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and put a dot on each of these 5 numbers for my 5-number summary. So I'm going to put a dot at 3. I'm going to put a dot at 4. I'm going to put a dot at 6, a dot at 7, and one last dot at 9. Now the trick is to connect these. I'm going to draw a straight line up and down the one that is the center. I'm going to also draw a straight line up and down my Q1 and my Q3. And I'm going to use these 3 lines to make my box. Alright, the next part is extending the whiskers. I take Q3 and I connect the maximum, and I take Q1 and connect it to the minimum, and we have our box and whisker plot. So this can be handy to help show how data is spread out. The further apart these points are, the more spread out they're going to be. If they're closer together, they're going to be more consistent. And we'll take a look a little bit later at as far as what percentage of the data falls within it, each little section. They are nice for easily comparing data sets and for being able to tell how spread the data is. One thing that we do lose with this, just like with the histograms in the last lesson, is we no longer have individual data sets. So we don't know what exactly points are in between 4 and 6, but we know we have a good chunk of points there. But we aren't able to look at the individual data itself. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause here and let you guys get this example done. And when you finish the example, we'll flip over to part 2 of this video series. So make sure that you watch the second video. We'll see you guys there.